On this upcoming attractions, we got trailers for Halloween, Shang-Chi, How Do They Fall, Candyman, and let's talk some Loki. Plus, our reviews for Disney's Cruella and Fast 9. All this and more on Midnight Double Feature.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Midnight Double Feature. This is an upcoming attractions episode where we are talking a whole bunch of stuff. I'm here with my main man, Matt, as always. Matt, what's happening?
Great to be here, Lil Z. Really happy to be here. That is your nickname that everybody calls you by, right?
I hate that, dude. I hate that we're still doing this.
No, it's going to be a thing. Every episode, you're going to get a new nickname, and every time you're going to facepalm. And then eventually, at the end of the year, I want to take the top 10, and I'm going to turn into a t-shirt, and it's going to go out to Patreon members for a discounted price. I just decided right now. You heard it here first, folks, and Zohead's going to hate every second of it.
All right. Look, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, welcome to the episode. We're going to go through a whole bunch of news. Look, if you're not a patron already, become a patron. Support the show. We're an independent podcast. We have no support. No support. We've got all the support, but we don't have advertising. We don't have sponsorship. So we rely on you guys, our listeners, to support us. For $5 a month, you get a whole bunch of episodes, including feature presentations that you might not hear on the main feed, and shooting the shit episodes where, you know, Colin and I, or Matt and Danny, or myself and Danny, or myself and Matt, whatever combination, we just sit down and we just riff-raff about a whole bunch of things. So there's about 25, 26 episodes on there right now for you bonus members. So head to patreon.com/Midnight Double Feature. Thank you so much to everyone who's signed up already. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate you guys chipping in and keeping the lights on here at Midnight Double Feature. But for those of you that aren't, if you're not going to sign up, we just ask that you rate and review us on iTunes, please. That really helps us out a lot. That gets us up in the charts, that gets us noticed, that gets our word out there. Look, just do whatever you can. If you can't chip in financially, chip in via some other way. And look, if you do want to get in touch with us, you've got the socials right there on the show notes on whatever app you're listening to. Midnight Double Feature. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, Twitter, what have you. We're on all of those things. So there you go. Let's get into this episode. Before we get into anything kind of note, we'd like to do a little bit of riff-raffing right here at the start of the episode. So Matt, what have you been up to for the last 2 weeks?
Other than being smashed at work, I did a Fast and Furious sketch at youtube.com/VelomatFilms. I've been doing a lot of these sketch comedy content lately, and that's a lot of fun. Did it right before we got a second lockdown here in Sydney, so I'm happy about the timing at the very least. Besides that, man, what I've been doing, I've been playing a lot of Super Mario 3D World on the Switch. That's a lot of fun. I love my Nintendo. I don't play it as much as I used to, but I've been really loving my Mario lately. I've been watching, actually. Kate and I have been watching a lot of Parks and Rec. We've been watching The OC. Remember that? The OC, dun, 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 dun. That was good times. And we're almost done with that. And you know what else I've been checking out? I've been checking out... So Amazon Prime released a series. It's to do with Borat. Like, what they did, I don't know if you've seen it. I can't remember the name of it, but...
Yes, I saw it today. I saw it pop up today.
Yeah. Yeah, so for those that know, in Borat's subsequent movie film, Sacha Baron Cohen spent 5 days in character living with these two, like, I guess maybe you call them alt-right guys that are really into, like, down the hole in conspiracy theories. And the first episode of the show is they cut it like a reality TV show. It's essentially an extended scene. And that episode, man, I really like it. It reminds me, like, why I really liked the first Borat movie. All those, like, little situations and stuff. It was kind of like, the second movie had those moments, but it was just more of those moments back to back, which I really like to see. But then after that, I thought it was kind of interesting. They have these little 6-minute episodes where they take quotes from these guys about different conspiracy theories, and they get them to come back and they sit them down and they debunk the theories with experts. One of them is Hillary Clinton, which is kind of crazy. I don't love the way they're edited. They're a little, they're really snappy and really quick. And with that sort of stuff, I wish they would go into more detail and make them longer. And they're kind of just there listening to people. It's not really much of a dialogue. But I do think it's really cool that they were like, okay, we made this film that is kind of a bit politically charged, but now we've got this, it's like supplementary material where you can sort of see like the facts, so to speak, that support like what they were going after. I think it's actually a really cool idea. It's like, nowadays that I miss the good old days with DVDs, you would have those special features. And this kind of feels like the next best thing, you know? I think that's the worst thing about where we're at now with streaming. Like, I miss those special features. Besides that, I'm just excited that Rick and Morty's back. Dave is another show I like, which is back. And yeah. That's about. Oh, I've also been watching a little bit of MODOK, Marvel's MODOK with Patton Oswalt. It's pretty cool. What have you been up to, man? What have you been watching? What have you been checking out? Oh, I saw you have a new Instagram page. Tell us about that.
Oh yeah, that's right. So yeah, well, just briefly, basically, I used to be into photography back in the day when I was doing my undergrad. My communications degree was kind of. I majored in media arts production, so I kind of like picked up the camera, I did a few things, but it never became more than sort of like just travel photography. I just kind of like go on holidays and take photos and stuff. And then my best friend had a baby not too long ago, and a couple of weeks ago he asked me to take some photos of his baby, which was nice. And I was like just kind of like nervous. I was like, dude. I don't know how well this is going to come out. I don't know how well this is going to be. So look, just know that you're getting this for free. And I have a good camera. So the day before I went out and bought a 50mm lens. And I did a bit of research, and yeah, I ended up like taking some, I think some pretty good photos. I really impressed myself. So, then I was like, you know what, man, I might, the camera's just kind of sitting here. I might try and turn this into something, hopefully become a bit more lucrative. So I kind of like I'm starting in the middle of starting like a little bit of I guess you can call it a photography business. Just something on the side, just for a little bit of extra cash. Mainly kind of portrait photography. Just photographing individuals, or even a little bit of event photography as well, but not really kind of like weddings or like concerts and stuff, just kind of like birthdays maybe. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of research in the background. Yeah, kicked off on Instagram, as you said, Matt. If you want to check that out, the Instagram is it's at zo.digitalphotography. And you can go ahead and check that out. I've already got a couple of things lined up. Hopefully when we get out of this lockdown, I'll be able to execute those and some money on the side. So yeah, that was really cool. And it's another sort of like exciting adventure for me to go on now that my master's is about to come to a close. Because like I said in the initial post, I don't like being not busy. So, I think for me, it's an interesting, little venture to go on. But other than that, oh, thank you. Thanks, man. But other than that, I'm still watching Power on Stan. Steph and I are going through Power still. Because Power's a bit heavy on the dramatic side, I kind of want to watch something comedy as well at the same time, sort of thing. So I never really watch more than 2 shows at once. And I've just kind of dived back into Entourage. We've just, over the past 2 weeks, we've smashed through 4 seasons of Entourage. I think Entourage
is that on Binge?
Is one of the best shows. Yeah, it's on Binge. It's one of the best comedy shows that HBO has ever put out, or any network has ever put out. It's just really geared towards what I'm interested in, like in terms of Hollywood and the way Hollywood works, and the way people talk to each other in Hollywood and interact with each other, the way they think. I think Entourage is awesome. So that's really the main things that I've been doing. I haven't really been playing many games outside of Warzone. I've been reading Seth Rogen's book called Yearbook, which is really good as well. Really solid, really hilarious. Um, yeah, but other than that, I've just been trying to get out exercising again. Unfortunately, options are limited now, considering that New South Wales is plunged back into lockdown, and COVID's become a bit more of a consideration in our lives, and again, unfortunately. But yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, man.
we had it too good for too long. I actually before we started recording, like not it, maybe half hour ago, I went for a walk and it just started pissing down rain. And Kate and I just got back here. We're in these hoodies, completely drenched, and it just sucked. Like
Nice.
it happened like right halfway through as well. So you couldn't go back the way you came. You just had to push through it. Gotta love it.
Definitely been there. Definitely been there. But look, guys, thanks so much for sticking around. We're gonna dive into this episode now. We've got a whole bunch of things. Before we get into any trailers, we might actually go ahead and talk about Loki. There's been 2 episodes of Loki that have passed since our last recording, so we're going to go ahead and talk about Loki in depth. That's episode 2 and episode 3, titled, give me one sec, it's right here, titled The Variant and Lamentis. And yeah, look, if you do want to listen to Loki, stick around. If you don't want to, if you're not interested in Loki, go ahead and skip through it, whatever, I don't care. But yeah, here we go. We're going to go into full spoilers for The Variant and Lamentis, episodes 2 and 3 of Loki. So The Variant, which is episode 2 of Loki, really gets into the TVA's mission, basically to track down the Variant, who we find out at the end of episode 1 is another Loki. They kind of go to Oshkosh, Wisconsin, which is a Renaissance fair, and basically Renslayer is objecting to Loki's further involvement. Mobius convinces her to give her another chance. Loki researches TVA files and theorizes that Varian is hiding near apocalyptic events where their actions do not affect time. Loki and Morbius confirm this by visiting Pompeii in 79 AD, which is, I want to put a little bit of a bookmark there because I want to come back around to that. Before deducing that the Variant is hiding during a hurricane in 2050 Alabama. There, they're ambushed by a Variant who possesses the bodies of several locals and TVA agent B-15. The Variant reveals herself to be a female version of Loki and rejects his offer to overthrow the Timekeepers together. She sends the stolen reset charges to various points along the sacred timeline, which activate and create numerous branched timelines that throw the TVA into disarray. And at the end of the episode, she teleports away, and Loki, much to Mobius' chagrin, follows her. So let's talk about this episode, The Variant, and where I did kind of... By the way, I think this is a fantastic episode.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic follow-up. I think it's solid. It really shows you the budget of what these episodes are capable of, dude. Like when we go to 2050 Alabama and we see the storm, the sign just falls in front of a billboard. Like it's just like, oh shit, man, that looks awesome.
Yeah.
And Pompeii, 79 AD. Now, my kind of gripe with this show as it's going along now, and not really to the fault of the show because it wasn't really advertised to be this, but when we go to Pompeii in 79 AD, I thought that's what the show would be more of. I thought we'd be going through the history of Earth or whatever, and kind of like fucking around or whatever. I don't know. And I'm not saying I'm disappointed necessarily. I'm just saying it's surprising to me that we've only really done that once.
And we're at the halfway mark now too.
Yes, we are at the halfway mark. So Lamentis, the next episode, doesn't have this either. So I'm just kind of like, I'm interested because we're visiting a lot more future settings than we are past, which is interesting.
Well, I gotta say, funnily enough, I think that's what I like about the show the most because my biggest fear going into it was, I don't think I phrased it very well in the past. I think that what I've been trying to say when it comes to shows like, when I think of time travel shows, I think of Doctor Who, I think of Legends of Tomorrow, I think of like these type of shows, or I even think of like how Supernatural would do it sometimes, where they're very formulaic. And I was really, really scared that this show would fall into that trap. And I'm so, so happy that it's not like a monster of the week or, decade of the week or whatever formula to the show. The show is very organic with its storytelling. It's only time traveling when it needs to, and it's not being gimmicky. Because a lot of these like formulaic time shows, they're so fucking gimmicky, and it drives me crazy. And with this,
I kind of want to hit on a point there. Sorry, Matt. Just while you're talking about formula and time travel, I didn't see that as and I know you said that in the past, and I kind of like had to think about that. I didn't see that as a risk for this show really, because I knew it was 6 episodes going in. I knew it was MCU. And when you talk formulaic time travel TV shows, usually, you're talking about things like Doctor Who, which are longer running TV shows, 23 episodes per season kind of thing. So, like, for me, I was like, I don't really think it's going to run into Monster of the Week when it's 6 episodes, right?
Well, like you would assume that, but because I haven't had, I guess, precedent of that before, it got me a little concerned. Now, I knew Tom Hiddleston's the star, so I knew he was going to kill it. And I know it's Marvel, but I'm just
He's fucking killing it, by the way.
So killing it. Oh my God. Every time he rants, I'm like, more please. Inject it into my veins. I love it. I'm just really happy that it's weirdly, I don't want to say they're being respectful about it, but they're not, it doesn't feel like forced. It just feels really organic. It actually serves the story. And you can tell when they're writing it, like when they're writing an episode, they're not going, okay, what time period can we go to now? They're more like, okay, what works for the character? What elements do we want to introduce? And like they've used these things as a way to introduce someone like
keep it specific to this episode. Okay. To this, yeah.
But they're using it in a way to introducing characters like her, where it's like the time variance is the justification for her existence. And so now we're seeing things we don't normally see, Well, I guess sometimes, meeting yourself is a trope, but we're seeing it in new ways. And the show is feeling creatively fresh. And I'm just so happy that's the situation, because I think like 5 years ago, or before Disney Plus, this is not what it would be like. It would have been on Netflix or ABC. This show could have easily looked like something like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I'm so happy that's not the case.
Yeah, I agree. And I just also really want to highlight that this is the episode, and I know I said it in relation to the last episode, but this Natalie Holt score for each of these episodes is so unique to this series. Like, it doesn't fit into anything the MCU has done before. It seems very otherworldly, very cosmic, very science fiction, very strange. So I really appreciate what Natalie Holt's done with this show in terms of music and composition. But yeah, and look, I think the way this episode ends is fantastic. I want to get to episode 3 though, Lamentis, and Lamentis is interesting because after it aired, unfortunately I didn't get to watch it the night it released, so. On Twitter, it kind of got minorly spoiled for me in terms of the fact that Loki is now officially in canon bisexual, which is not really something that I really give a shit about. He can be bisexual, he can fuck whoever he wants. I don't give a shit, but whatever, because it doesn't really have that much of a bearing on the story.
It really doesn't. No.
Someone else wrote in a tweet. That was the most expensive bottle episode I've ever seen in my life. And then when I watched the episode, that was kind of what I was thinking of the entire time. I was like, because once we get out of the TVA, right? Because the episode starts with Sylvie and Loki inside the TVA. Sylvie's going for the golden elevator to go up to the timekeepers, and it turns out that Loki transports them both to Lamentis 1. Which is currently being destroyed by the moon. So, they're kind of like trapped in isolation on this planet, trying to find their way out, they're discovering who they are. It actually gets surprisingly existential. They talk a lot about love. They talk a lot about forgiveness. And yeah, and like who they are and like identity. They talk about identity, and I was like, I was really not expecting this particular episode to go through anything like that. I think,
Especially with that
yeah, go.
setup. Like, when you hear that setup, we're going to another planet, it's going to be apocalyptic. Your expectations go to, oh, this is going to be the action, like the really actiony episode. And instead, no, like they flip it on the head. They use this setting to be the most intimate episode yet, with the most character work. And honestly, I'm all for it. Like, they did such, like, that conversation on that train was incredible. They did such, the dialogue is really, it's really there, and these two actors are really just chilling through it. Like, they're just, you can tell they're having, it's like an actor's dream, I imagine. The fact that they get to just be so showmanshipy with this dialogue and these monologues. I bet Tom Hiddleston is having the time of his life. And who's this actress playing Sylvie? Is she?
The actress's name is Sophia DiMartino.
So I'm not familiar. Are you very familiar? Is she known by any chance?
She was in something that I saw. I've just got it up here. So
she's great.
Midsummer Murders. But yeah, no, she's awesome, dude. And like, you know, I love that they got someone who speaks very much like Tom Hiddleston's Loki.
Oh yeah.
Like the way she speaks, even like, you know, obviously down to the accent because she's British as well, and the way she enunciates everything. This is absolutely a Loki equivalent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they did a fantastic job. This episode also kind of gives you some breadcrumbs as to who the TVA are and who the timekeepers are, or rather, kind of like, you know, it doesn't give you answers. It kind of gives you like what the fuck is kind of happening, because there's obviously some kind of subterfuge happening with the timekeepers. There's someone's lying to someone.
Yeah.
Which is great. I think the episode visually looks gorgeous. I'm all for you know, practical locations and practical sets and getting out there and filming things. But, you know, this being on a green screen for most of the episode, I think pretty much like 90% of the episode, it looked gorgeous. And I think they really, really pulled off something beautiful.
Yeah. Well, it's really supported by fantastic art direction, and the use of color is incredible. I've never seen anything so beautiful and so purple at the same time. I think it was this show that they were talking about, where they were talking about implementing the technology they had with Mandalorian and what's becoming more popular now, where they're using LED screens instead of a traditional green screen. They're treating it like you would a green screen, but it really affects the lighting and stuff like that, apparently. Excuse me. Yeah, visually it's outstanding. You can tell the budget went to Loki when it comes to all these shows. From the writing to the acting to everything. It's hard. I don't want to say a cut above the other two shows, especially since I think WandaVision was really innovative. But this feels like a little extra love and care went into it, which is saying a lot, because the other two shows are fucking great. I am noticing a pattern about Disney Plus Marvel shows now. They like to hide a lot in their advertising, usually a character. Like, the big reveal with Falcon Winter Soldier was there's another Captain America. The big reveal with this is there's another Loki, and the other Loki is a woman. And I guess you could even say, to a lesser extent, WandaVision had Evan Peters. I say lesser extent because he wasn't as prominently featured throughout the narrative. But I find that's an interesting way of going, because when you look back at Loki, they never really told us much about the story. Like, we had no idea there was going to be a variant. I think that's really interesting, and I think it's really great because it makes awesome for week-to-week watching. This is also, I think, the best show so far, maybe at teasing us and making us question things. Again, no hate to WandaVision, because you know how much I fucking love that show.
Even on top of WandaVision, I think, takes the cake in terms of like mystery boxes. Like, I think we've already got some answers here with Loki. Like, they've given us a lot.
But the thing is with WandaVision, you were at the same point after every episode, almost every episode, in where you were guessing. With this, we're getting breadcrumbs along the way. Like I think they both do a good job, but with this one, I find myself really surprised with every breadcrumb they give us. With WandaVision, I was on the same path. Either way, both shows are really good at this. But yeah, I find myself tempted to theorize and come up with fan theories in my head because I have no idea where they're going with this plot. Like, what is going on with the TVA? That reveal in this episode that the variants, sorry, not the variants, the TVA, the TVA members all think that they've always been like this, but the discovery that no, they used to be people, that blew my mind. I was like, I did not see that coming. That's pretty cool. So I'm really keen to see what happens. I want to figure out what they do when they meet these Time Lords, whatever the fuck they're calling them. And I'm really curious from a writing perspective, what do you do with this show for a finale? Like, I guess Loki's arc is probably going to be similar to the movies, where he's going to like become less selfish and more selfless. And, you know, maybe they go the route of he passes on the torch to Sylvie, who knows. But with all these elements of time travel and multiverses and blah, 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 I want to see how this affects the rest of the Marvel Universe. This is a really exciting show to watch, and I love that's in the middle of the week now as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think 100% hit the nail on the head. So, look, we've got 3 episodes of this show to go. We're going to be cracking it as we go along. Looks like it's going to be 2 episodes next episode of our coming attractions, and then we're just going to talk about the finale as well. So, I guess, look, hang on to your butts.
Before we wrap it up, let me ask you this. Based on what we've seen so far, it's only 3 episodes, but it's halfway through. Do you think we're going to get a season 2? And do you think we need, or would you want a season 2 from this?
Honestly, for all 3 shows so far, for the Disney Plus MCU shows, no, I don't think we needed season 2. But I think a lot of the gaps are going to be filled in via the movies, or because like Captain America, you got to think the next Captain America film is got immediately announced after the finale of Falcon and the Winter Soldier did, So whether it gets a season 2 and the movie is acting as the season 2, it remains to be seen. We might get more answers in Love and Thunder. We might get more answers in something else, because I think what they're trying to really work at is eventually getting this version of Loki is back into the MCU. They're going to eventually try and work him into the mainline series, because they got to have their cake and eat it too by killing him, and by also kind of what's the word?
Right, when you say this version, do you mean Sylvie?
No, Sylvie? This version is in this 2013, 2012 version of Loki.
Right.
Yeah.
I think whatever's happening, I think we're going to see something similar in She-Hulk. We're seeing a real pattern in Marvel movies right now, and it's going to come really obvious really soon. But you can tell they're gearing up for, I don't know what they're doing, but there's going to be something that happens, because they have a lot of these copycat, I'm saying that in inverted commas, characters popping up. Because in Love and Thunder, we have Thor and a female Thor. Here we have Loki and a female Loki. In Falcon and Winter Soldier, we see multiple versions of Captain America. In Hulk, we have Hulk and She-Hulk. And we're going to get more down the line, I'm sure. I wonder if this is some situation where these characters are all going to pass on the mantle. So we still keep our characters, just their new stories and new characters with the same powers. Or, I don't know, imagine a Civil War situation where it's the originals versus the new ones. I don't know, probably not that. Although that would be fucking awesome. But yeah, I think it's really interesting because we've never seen this in any form of cinematic medium before. Because in comics, you didn't need to do that. You can just keep making comics. It's not like the comic characters, the cartoons are going to get older physically. But yeah, either way, I'm all in. I'm all in.
Cool. Thank you for telling us something we didn't know.
I'm analyzing. This is our job.
That you're all in is
Sorry.
This is new information.
Yeah, that might actually come to a surprise to some people. That I Matt Vella will continue to watch Marvel movies. Believe it or not, I know. Shocker.
All right, that's going to be on the Daily Telegraph as a news item. But look, let's pivot. Let's pivot a little, and let's keep it on brand to Marvel. We don't usually talk about trailer 2 or anything like that, but I think this is kind of justified considering that it's so different from the first trailer. But we got a new trailer for Shang-Chi and Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. And I think, if I had left this off the agenda today, there might have been a little bit of a riot in terms of hey, why did you guys not talk about it? But look, I think this is what I wanted. I think I was a bit lukewarm on that first trailer. I was just a bit like, oh, okay, look, I don't know. It's not really, that first trailer didn't really blow my socks off. It didn't, because you got to remember, Endgame happened and Far From Home happened and Phase 3 was completed. It was finished, right? So you got to give audiences, aka me as well, a reason to come back to the MCU because that closure was so satisfying. And why should we come back? Why should we feel that level of connection again? And I don't think that first trailer for Shang-Chi really kind of hit that. I think they really should have leaned a little bit harder into what they presented in this trailer. They presented the story, right? They gave us a little bit more of who Shang-Chi is, how he relates to his father. But not only that, they showed us some pretty amazing action sequences. They showed us an amazing cameo. 2 cameos rather, and how it really kind of fits in with the wider MCU, which kind of really gives us a lot of questions. They showed off Simu Liu's kind of charm. He's incredibly charming. So I think this particular trailer, in terms of a story trailer, really knocked it out of the park, and I am absolutely, I was on board already, but now I'm just all right, look, give me a ticket immediately. What do you think?
Before I go, what's the second cameo? There's Abomination, and who's the other one?
Wong.
Oh shit! I forgot he's in this one. Dude. So I really like the first trailer, but this one is, oh my god, levels. This one's this is kind of what I'm hoping happens with Eternals. The first trailer's kind of here's the vibe, and then the second one's here's the story. And here are some of the big reveals. This is, oh man. I remember watching this trailer, the first time I act like it was 3 years ago. It was more 3 days ago. But I watched this trailer and already I'm fuck, is this going to be one of the best MCU movies? That's a lot for me to say too, as someone with zero connection to this character. I didn't grow up reading his comics or anything. It looks like there are at least 3 or 4 major action set pieces. And the way that it sort of pays homage to Hong Kong martial arts cinema, but it's delivering it in such a new, modern, blockbustery way. Honestly, in a way I don't think I've seen before. Sure, we have stuff like John Wick doing incredible choreography, but when I look at this, I'm not oh my god, the martial arts choreography is so amazing. It's more the spectacle is. It's I don't know what they're doing. They're either enhancing it with CGI and doing some sort of weird camera tricks. I'm seeing angles and fight scenes I'm not used to seeing here. And I think this is really going to blow us away. And the way that they're doing some of these, CGI backgrounds, it's a little it's a really fantastical, but I'm all here for it, dude. It looks so cool. I really love one of these opening shots where the ring's hovering, sort of outside of his arm, down by his fist. That's not from the comics, but it's so creative and it's badass. It's fucking cool, dude. I lost my shit when I saw Abomination at the end. It looks like it might be a Ragnarok type situation, but holy shit, dude, I had to rewind that fast. I was so excited to see that. That is how you get us on board. Just like with Ant-Man where they brought in Falcon. Those sort of like surprise connections and in an action scene, that's how you get me really excited. I kind of do wish they left Abomination as a surprise because I would have died in the theater if I saw that, because I think The Incredible Hulk is super underrated. I think it's I'm not saying it's one of the best films, but people don't give it the credit it deserves.
When was the last time you saw it?
Okay, admittedly it's been a while, so maybe it doesn't hold up.
It kind of doesn't. I'm
really?
just gonna put it out there. Yeah, I just did a rewatch recently, and
I used to rewatch it so many times. I used to love that movie back in the day.
That's why I'm like, why you so like? And this is fucking nerds, right? Like nerds love this. They're just like, oh shit, you brought back a character that we saw like 12 years ago. Amazing.
Oh, that face looks familiar. Oh,
yeah.
I like him.
Dude, I saw it like I saw it in the trailer, and I'm like, oh, cool. So I'm just like, all right,
for me,
cool.
It's cool that there's another Hulk type character. Because Hulk is kind of one of the coolest guys in the movies, action wise, which is why I was low-key a little bit disappointed about him going smart, even though it does good stuff
Loki?
for his characters. Sorry, Hulk. Sorry?
You said you were low-key excited. I was like, Loki?
Comedian of the year, ladies and gentlemen. Got it. Clap it up for Zohar. Look, I think that just sounds like looks like a really cool action set piece. And I think, I know normally we say we don't do trailer 2, but I'm starting to think for these big action movies or like the real fun ones, we're going to have to do a bit more trailer 2s, because I'm starting to realize that they're sometimes the best trailers. It's when they reveal a lot more. But, I'll take it as it goes. But yeah, I really love this trailer, sorry. It's looking really cool. It's also extra exciting knowing it was shot near us. When this trailer dropped, I saw like 2 people on my newsfeed comments saying, "Oh, I'm in the background of this scene" and stuff like that, which is really just cool to see as well.
Nice.
So yeah, man, really stoked for this one.
For me, it's not the appearance of the Abomination. It's the excitement of whether Tim Roth's going to be back. Because I love Tim Roth, and I was just like, because he's already confirmed to be back for She-Hulk, so
I didn't know
just
that.
Like, man.
Oh,
yeah,
I did actually. No, sorry.
If he pops up in this, I'm going to lose my mind. I love Tim Roth. But yeah, look, yeah, definitely excited for it. And again, not telling you anything that you don't know already. We're both going to see it. Obviously, we're 100% on board. I'm just really keen to see what they do with this character that makes him an essential part of the MCU. So there we go. But look, let's move on to our next item, and that is that's something. It's going to be something a little bit more obscure, and I'm hoping you've seen the trailer because it's amazing. Not you, Matt, the audience. This is a movie. It's a Western called The Harder They Fall, and this trailer just kind of came out of nowhere. But it's an amazingly stacked cast. And, it's this really, really gorgeous looking trailer. It kicks off with basically this train getaway / escape. You've got Regina King and Lakeith Stanfield, both of which are amazing. Lakeith Stanfield was nominated this year for Best Supporting Actor for Judas and the Black Messiah. Regina King was nominated this year for Best Director for One Night in Miami. I mean, like, come on. And they're breaking out Idris fucking Elba. Like, this train robbery.
Yes, please.
So, at that point, dude, I'm just like, what is this? How did this fly under my radar? It's a Western as well, so I'm 100% on board. And, you've got other names like Delroy Lindo in the movie, like, from the Five Bloods. Like, sign me the fuck up, dude. Like, this looks so good.
Yeah, man. I used to not be keen on Westerns, but I feel like the older I am, the more I'm starting to like them. And this is just, yes, it looks really great. I don't know if the movie will be presented this way, but the trailer kind of is. In the trailer, the graphics and stuff kind of give me a bit of a grindhouse vibe. Like, not like all the way in like Tarantino and Rodriguez and stuff, but like, I'm hoping they maintain that for the cinematic release because I've always had a soft spot for that style. The cast is obviously incredible. What else did I say? Idris Elba. I'm just keen to see him shoot a gun. I know that's not saying much, but like he looks good with a gun in his hands, and this cinematography looks pretty sick too. I love that shot where the sun's going by with the little horse. Not a lot to say other than I'm keen. And it's coming to Netflix, so there's no reason why I won't see it day one.
Yeah, so...
also, sorry, I want to point something out because I saw a name in the trailer and I was just double checking it there. I saw one of the producers' name was Sean Carter, and I'm like, that's not who I think it is it? I check it out. Yes, Jay-Z is a producer.
Yes, he is.
Which is cool. I didn't know he produced
something.
Yeah.
Well, I want to hear something about as interesting as that. So the director is James Samuel. James Samuel, this is his first movie. This is his directing debut, and he is Seal's brother.
Wow. What?
Yeah.
That's good for him, I guess.
Totally. Another name that I kind of really wanted to mention before we move on to the next topic is Jonathan Majors. The villain, I think he's kind of like the antagonist. Jonathan Majors was in Lovecraft Country, but more interestingly for you MCU fans, he's going to be in Ant-Man Quantumania as Kang. So, yeah, if you do want to become a little bit more acquainted with Jonathan Majors, this might be the one.
That's awesome. Man, I'm kind of blown away just right now because, like, you have Jay-Z and you put his name, but you put his real name in the title. It's like Sean Jay-Z Carter. Like, that's, I admire that restraint. I'm sure it would have been tempting to do that, but I guess, I don't know why they would do that, but I find that really interesting. I think that's,
but that's good. Like, if I was Jay-Z, I'd want to sell the movie on its own merits rather than using my star power.
You would, but most don't go that route. Like, sometimes Dwayne Johnson still goes by Dwayne The Rock Johnson, you know?
It's not like Dwayne Johnson's he's not an obscure person, right?
Well, now he isn't, but 10 years ago, or maybe 15 years ago, like that's how he broke into the theaters by crediting him as The Rock, you know? You still see, like, was it Southpaw was like produced by Eminem, you know? So yeah, I don't know. That's just a weird observation I just made.
Cool. Let's move on to our next topic. And now we're going to kind of move into, I guess, our two horror films. We're going to kick it off with Halloween Kills. And again, we've talked about a trailer for this before. So, considering it's been about a year and it got delayed by a year, because of COVID, this is now the first full trailer for Halloween Kills. And let me just say, if you haven't heard me talk about the 2018 Halloween Kills, of which this is a follow-up of, I really, really enjoyed the direction of the 2018 film. I think it was a confident film. I think it was really, really solid, like in terms of like how they, just the impact of that movie, how they treated Michael, how they treated Laurie Strode, and the legacy of it all. So, when this trailer kicks off with literally the aftermath of that first movie, I was of two minds. Initially, I was like really, really happy because I was like, I really wanted to see like what happened next after they burned that house down. But also, I was like, are they showing too much? Because I think I would have genuinely rather have waited to see that as a surprise, to be honest, like him kind of like Michael escaping. Because like, here's another thing as well. I assumed that we would never have seen Michael escape. Like, I assumed that when this movie starts in Halloween Kill starts, right? Michael Myers has somehow escaped that fire because we don't need a reason. Like, in in the Freddy movies or in the Michael movies, whatever.
Yeah.
In any of those movies, right? They don't really explain amazingly well how the person or the villain or the antagonist survived the last thing, right? The last thing that killed them in the previous movie. Like, you just kind of take it on face value that these things are hard to kill. They just will keep coming towards you. They're a force of nature. So I don't know if I really need the explanation that, he grabbed a firefighter's hand and killed a whole garrison of firefighters. I was just like, oh, I don't know if that's really necessary. I hope they don't go overboard. It kind of looks like they have. What I really liked about that first Halloween movie is that Michael killed very strategically. Like, he didn't kill everyone who came across his path. And that kind of like really separated him from Jason for me, and Freddy. Like, he kind of like had a lot of restraint, and I really liked that restraint, because then you're actively wondering whether the person he comes across is going to live or die, rather than, oh, they're automatically going to die.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's an interesting observation. I think when it comes to like the typical slasher or typical any sequel always takes place 1 year later, 3 months later, blah, blah. This is, I think, kind of a callback, because I think the Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2 took place like 5 minutes later, same house.
Yeah.
The Rob Zombie sequel, for that reboot, because this franchise has been rebooted 400 times, also did the same thing, but like it went in a different direction, I believe. This is like they're trying to keep the tradition alive, but they're also going another direction. Like, I don't think in either of those films the house was on fire. What they've done a good job in the first movie, which they're doubling down on here, I think, is establishing that he is a force of nature. He is evil. He is darkness. He is whatever the fuck. So they've kind of given themselves a reason to defy logic. It's kind of what something like Fast and Furious needs. A good reason to be like, I can do whatever the fuck I want, and you don't have to, and you won't question it. A lot of movies would probably be better if they had an element like this.
They have done this before, though. Like, this series has done this before. Or I think I'm thinking of Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th. No, it's definitely this. It's definitely Halloween. They have described Michael Myers as a non-human force of nature before,
and that's what that's what I'm getting at. Like, that's a good thing. It gives them room to do this type of shit, and I don't know about you, but for me, like, I don't really question it, because they've set it up so well. Their foundation is so solid that they could, you could chop his head off and he could come back in the next movie, and I'll be like, oh, well, it's Michael Myers. So that's what he does. That's his thing. What I do love about this trailer is the way they're sort of expanding on your typical expectations of the man in the mask killing you type thing. The first one is, I believe there's a line in the trailer where they're saying something like, the more he kills, the stronger he gets. So the more he kills, the more evil he becomes,
more inhuman,
or some shit.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know if that's been done before in any other Halloween movies. I haven't really watched many of them. I also don't know if that's been explored in other horror movies. I haven't seen it done before. But I find that's really cool, because now you're increasing the stakes. With each kill, you are now upping the threat level. And I think...
I don't know if that's supposed to be taken so literally, though. It's not. I don't think they're going to do the whole... Every time he kills someone, he's going to become more of a spectral ghost or like something like that. Like,
I don't know. Actually, I guess the closest thing to it is like the Mummy. But, as much as I love the Mummy, it's not. I wouldn't really call it a typical slasher. But yeah, maybe they don't take it as literal. But that's what I took from it. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't expect him to get new powers or grow wings or anything. But maybe it just means he's harder to kill or some shit. I don't know. But maybe I'm wrong. But I did think that was interesting. The other thing is the fact that they establish that what I'm guessing is the main plot element is the fact that they're going to hunt him. So that was one of the best parts of the first one. In that final fight or action scene when Laurie is just like, I'm going to fucking hunt you. And then they follow him like he's the victim. That was a interesting perspective that I don't think I've seen done in this genre before, which is a mind fuck, because it kind of seems like, why did someone think of this earlier? And the fact that we're going to sort of maybe go through that lens or that point of view, it's a good way to, you don't have to go out of your way to bring anything too much new to the story, but it can still feel fresh, potentially. So I think that's really cool. Outside of that, just the last thing is it's just more. It looks like it's more of that world. The last movie was so well directed. I love the cast. I love the aesthetics, and the cinematography. And it looks like we're getting all that again. It doesn't feel like a cheap sequel. It doesn't feel like they phoned it in, like a fucking Saw movie where they're like, "Oh, we need a new sequel in 8 months' time. Get to work." Like you can tell they sat the fuck down and they planned everything out. And yeah, I know I got a lot of faith in this creative team. So I'm super, super excited.
Yeah, 100%. I think one of the big strengths about that first one, like you said, is that, he becomes the hunted, right? The hunter becomes the hunted. If you watch that movie, you will see that if it's not for Laurie, sorry, if it wasn't for Laurie's actions, Michael and Laurie's paths would never cross in that movie. Like, there is no point where Michael is directly attacking Laurie or heading towards Laurie because he knows it's Laurie Strode. It's all because Laurie is so haunted by what happened to her in 1978 that she is so hell-bent on getting revenge. And, I think it's interesting that it's written like something like that is written by Danny McBride. I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah. It's something about comedians going into other genres, whether it be horror or drama. A lot of them just have these really interesting perspectives that are so fresh. Not all of them. Sorry, Chris Rock, you tried. But yeah, dude. Like, I think the tone of it was it was so right, and I think some really great character work is when it's like the character creates their own problem.
Yeah.
And they have to, so then you get like this redemption arc and a heroic arc simultaneously. It's really cool.
Yeah. So look, we're excited for Halloween Kills. That comes out on October 15, 2021. And then it will be followed up by its sequel called Halloween Ends, which comes out on October 14, 2022. So that's going to be pretty cool.
Very cool.
So let's move on to our last trailer for the day, and that is Candyman, directed by Nia DaCosta. So this trailer, wow. This trailer was like all sorts of wow. There is a lot happening here, and it immediately went for me, it went from a reboot of a pre-existing franchise that they're trying to, revive to something that is now a must-watch. I think Jordan Peele specifically handpicked Nia DaCosta to direct this, from memory, from what I read rather, and I think Yahya Abdul Mateen II, which by the way is an amazing name. I think his performance in this is going to be something else. I think the visuals in this is going to be something else. The way that they're kind of cutting back and forth between everything in this particular trailer, the way they're setting up Candyman, it's a very, very amazingly well realized trailer. And for someone who's never seen a Candyman movie, this has me all sorts of intrigued. I am 100% on board with this movie now, and I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, again, second trailers. This is the second one, right? This feels like a completely different movie from the first trailer. Weirdly, I think it's the way they edited it, but the first trailer had a whole lot of white people in it. This one does not. It's really interesting with editing how you can change this perspective of it all. But this is by far a much better trailer. More probably because we know what's going on. I can't wait to see Yaya's performance. I think also the shadow puppets are really cool, aren't they?
Yeah, really great visual.
That is really, really, like that's the thing that stays with me. They're so creepy. I also haven't seen the first Candyman, but I've seen like videos on YouTube about it. Like, so I kind of have a good idea, and I've heard like different takes on it and stuff. I'm gonna watch it before I watch this, and I can't wait to see it. I'm just really curious to see how they tie in like social commentary into this. We get a little taste of it. I don't know how deep they'll go. When Jordan Peele's involved, I assume it'll be deep. But who knows? Either way, I think the way they've set it up, even if it's just in the premise, it gives an extra layer of depth to a horror movie. And I'm loving it when movies do that these days. This movie looks really cool. I can't wait to see it. And,
it looks really unique. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I think both of us are definitely on board for that, man. Like again, that's gone from a obligatory, oh, it's a reboot, I might check it out, whatever, see how we go, to a must see for me. So yeah.
Yeah. A lot of good trailers this week. A lot of good trailers.
Yeah, but look, that moves us off away from trailers. Now we're going to get into our reviews. We've got 2 this week. We've got Cruella and Fast 9. We're going to kick it off with Cruella. So, Matt, you've seen Cruella. Let's go.
From the very beginning, I realized I saw the world differently than everyone else. That didn't sit well with some people. But I wasn't for everyone. I guess they were always scared that I'd be a psycho.
Look, I'll be quick with this one. It's good. it's pretty great. We've got a stellar performance by Emma. Oh God,
come on, Matt.
Stone.
Thank you.
I almost said Watson. I love her. She's great. She's fantastic in this. Anyone who's seen the original 101 Dalmatians live action movie, she's very channeling that same Cruella energy. There's also another character who's like the villain of it all. I can't remember the actress's name.
Emma Thompson.
There we go. 2 Emmas. Okay, didn't realize that.
Yeah.
The weird thing is, it's kind of like Cruella isn't Cruella at first. She's Estella, and then she like manufactures this personality based off this other woman who's like her enemy. And it's kind of interesting to see when you create this character for yourself and you personify it, you become it, how it affects her life and the ones around her. It is a kids movie, but it's a pretty mature kids movie. It gets really grim at some points in those like Disney type ways. It's pretty good. I think this is a strong Oscar contender for costume design. As you would expect, it's a Disney film set in the fashion world. It's got a really strong chance for maybe best costume because there's some really beautiful outfits in this movie. At the core, it's kind of a bit like a heist movie, which I did not expect, but that was cool. But overall, it was a lot of fun. Emma Stone is doing a Cruella meets Harley Quinn sort of thing going on, and it's a lot of fun. It's a fun flick. If you're a Disney fan, this is a I wouldn't say it's a must watch, but it's one of the better live action Disney films I've seen in a while, because a lot of them can be pretty hit and miss, I would say.
I heard there is a distractingly high number of needle drops in this movie.
What do you mean needle drops?
As in like licensed music. Like I've heard somewhere in the range of 25 to 30.
Oh, okay. It's been a while since I've seen it. Disclaimer: I was meant to cover this last episode, but we didn't run out of time. There is definitely licensed music. I can't remember exactly, but whatever it is, it's usually there's a lot of parties in this film, so it kind of like goes with the scene, I guess, for the most part. But yeah, a lot of it's not really ringing a bell at the moment.
Yeah, fair enough. Craig Gillespie's a solid Australian director. He did I, Tonya as well. So yeah, look, I might check it out. It's not really my thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm not sure if it's Steph's thing either, to be honest. But like, yeah, I don't know. I've got no skin in this game.
I don't expect you to see it, but I would expect it if it's for anything Oscar-y. I think costume design, it's got a chance.
Okay. All right. Well, look, let's get to, I guess, probably the main item of the day. And I think we could do an entire episode on this particular review. I've got a half a page of notes for this movie.
Lay it on me, brother. Lay it on me.
Let's get to Fast 9. Let's get to Fast 9. Okay, what the fuck is this called? Fast 9, the Fast Saga?
It's
F9, the Fast Saga. Sorry, hold on. Let me tee this up. This is the review for F9, The Fast Saga.
The world has a way of changing. And we change too.
I know some people, they would die for me.
There are moments that separate us,
They're my family.
but we always come back together.
We heard y'all needed a little love out here.
Before this movie, what's your experience with the Fast and Furious movies? How do you feel? Let's see where we stand first, because I think that would affect this.
Yeah. No, we'll get to it. So yeah, look, I love these movies. Like unabashedly. I mean, you know, we've covered the Fast and Furious, the first one, for the podcast, much to Colin's chagrin. You know, that was the first DVD that I ever owned. You know, when we eventually transitioned from VHS to DVDs. So that first one has a special place in my heart. And like, you know, my brother and I actually grew up with the franchise. You know, we watched, you know, we bought the DVD of Too Fast, Too Furious. We watched Tokyo Drift at the movies. We watched the fourth one of the movies. We watched the fifth. It's a long running tradition with my brother and I. And, you know, as ridiculous as they've gotten, I can't really speak for him. I've always been in the bag for these because they're all entertaining. You know, no matter what ludicrousness, ludicrous. No matter what ludicrousness they're presenting on screen, it's still 100% enjoyable because there are no other movies like these outside of this franchise. Like, there is no other franchise that's doing something like this on this scale, and it makes it incredibly fun. And not only that, but you've got a single kind of like voice running through each of the movies that makes it seem like it's all one and the same, but they keep upping the ante every entry, and they keep finding some way to keep inviting you back. So for me, this entire series is absolutely enjoyable. I own I own 1 to 8 on 4K on the box set, so I'm 100% in the bag for these movies. Before I get into F9, why don't you give me your thoughts on the series as a whole?
Yeah, so in high school, like, everybody loved Fast 1, 2, Tokyo Drift. To be honest, Tokyo Drift is the only one I haven't seen.
Whoa, you've never seen it, ever?
No, I was just like, oh, it doesn't have the main character, I'm not keen. I've been meaning to go back and watch it, and from the way it affects the rest of the franchise.
You're a fake fan.
No, but to be honest, like, the first 3 don't really do it for me. It's like, I think the first one is a solid film. It's for what it's doing, I think they are very of its time, but I'm on board mostly from 4 onwards, when they become more action films. And I know that's controversial to car heads and rev heads and shit, but I'm not a car guy. I'm a dorky superhero action guy. So you give me these crazy stunts and characters and shit, and that's when you get me on board. I think 5 and 7 are probably the best ones.
5 and 7 are the best ones. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, even though Dwayne Johnson is doing a weird as fuck accent with facial hair, he makes a great villain in a way, and I think ever since 5, they've been trying to capture that, but they've gone about it in some weird ways sometimes. 7 has a lot of the heart and stuff, but I'm going to say this because it's going to set up to what I say later. Fast 8, it felt like the problems behind the scenes affected the movie. Splitting Vin, and it felt like 2 different movies, one starring Vin Diesel, one starring Dwayne Johnson, and they were very different, and the B plot that Vin Diesel was in was, I thought, very boring. It was not using him well, or Charlize Theron well, and that movie it has its moments, but overall it's kind of a chore to watch. And Hobbs and Shaw, I think, is the worst of the franchise. It's
garbage.
I tried to rewatch it last week, and
it's so bad
with other people around me, and I cringed so hard. Like, I remember we reviewed it a few years ago on the pod. Fuck, we've been doing this for a while, man. Go us. But I remember reviewing it, and I'm saying it's what we always ask for, and then once we got it, I realized it's not what we want. Like, the more winking at the camera, the more they try and be funny, and the more they try and go over the top with the superhero element, the shittier the film got. And I'm going to leave it at that, and let's get to the reviews. So I was a big fan, but I've been very disappointed by the last two.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think I think we're on the same page there in terms of where we fall. So we're kind of coming at this at the same angle, which is great. I think I know that this franchise has had a lot of detractors considering where it came from and where it's ended up. Because yes, in the first one is very humble. It starts off with Brian O'Connor being a LAPD officer investigating the theft of DVD players. Right? I don't love that joke that everyone makes because it's not entirely accurate, right? The stakes in that are not the DVD players. The stakes in that are the truck drivers that are being ripped off are going to man up and eventually murder one of these thieves, right? Yeah. So I don't love that comparison, but like that is the stakes that we're dealing with at that particular time. To me, it was never about the racing, and you can 100% criticize me for that, whatever. It was never about racing. It was about criminals and thieves. No, fuck off. It wasn't even about the family. like that is such a bullshit notion that this franchise has just taken and ran with. It was always about cops and robbers. Like that was it. Just cops and robbers and undercover police. That's all it is. And infiltration. So whenever people say it's not about the racing anymore, I don't think it ever was, man. I just don't think. Like, sure, you got
that's
race scenes.
Take. Yeah. You've got a solid argument there. Yeah.
You've got race scenes. I mean, like I always say from the jump, the first scene in the first Fast and the Furious movie is not a race. It's a heist. It's a like they're literally robbing a truck in that first scene. So, I kind of like always come back with that.
Yeah, they've always been heist movies that involve cars in a way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Totally. So look, Fast 9. This is the worst film in the franchise for me. This is the one that's this is the one that broke the camel's back or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
No.
This franchise is no longer for me. This is the one that's made. This is the one that's really kind of made me realize that.
Why?
I'm gonna tell you. Shut up. I'm gonna tell you.
Okay.
I think this movie was boring. I think
more than Fast 8.
I found Fast 8 a lot more interesting than this.
Okay.
Because Charlize Theron's character was a lot more interesting than John Cena's character.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, I'll give you that.
But not only that, people died in Fast 8, right? I mean, we lost Elena in Fast 8. No one dies in this, and I think that was a real problem. You don't feel the, as you like to say, stakes. You don't feel the stakes because these people walked out unscathed, and that just really, as soon as the movie rolled, I was like, man, no one's going to die in this movie, is there? There's they're all going to walk away from this just completely unscathed. Yeah, Matt. What?
No. I'm going to say I agree with you, and I'm going to say something I was getting the vibe for, and tell me if you felt the same. I feel like they wanted to kill Roman. There were like 3 times where they could have easily killed him. Like, in the beginning, he had his own shootout scene when he never gets the time to shine. No. It's like, kill him there. But then he does a car stunt. It's like, okay, kill him there. But then they play it off as a joke. And then, like, they sort of hype it up like it could die in space. And I was like, I like him as a character, but kill him so the world feels grounded, please. Like, or kill somebody. But I feel like you really could have killed him. Yeah.
Someone's got to go. And I don't know if it was going to be Roman or whatever, but it was strange to me that they gave Roman 2 kind of hero moments in that one kind of action set piece.
Yeah.
It was like really strange. It was like Atari's just was like, let me take the script, let me write this in where I get to be Rambo for a sec because I don't get moments. But like,
yeah, definitely.
Look, I need to get into this. I haven't even started with my notes. So look, this is the guy who's all about family has never mentioned that he has a brother. And I know that that's a criticism that a lot of people had going into this because, you know, it was just kind of like, let's wait and see. Let's kind of wait and see what kind of explanation they give. For the most part, I think it's a viable argument, right? I think that this guy, the brother did kill his father, and that's probably why he doesn't talk about him. But why doesn't Mia? Why doesn't anyone else talk about or allude to the brother? It's just such a bullshit notion. Like it's just such a there is no need for him to be in this franchise. But not only that, and this kind of like gets to my like one of my bigger gripes. If you're gonna have Jacob, who is Dominic Toretto's brother, in this movie needs to feel a lot more personal, and it doesn't. It feels very cold and impersonal. Like, I don't need this big kind of like, I didn't need the plot of Jacob stealing the two halves of whatever to launch rockets and destroy the world. That is so impersonal. Make Jacob trying to go after Dominic Toretto or his family. Like, you can make it so much more personal than world domination again. Like, it's just so, yeah.
I thought that's what they were going to do. Like, I thought he was going to kill Roman or Tyrese, whatever. And I was like, oh, my family, my estranged brother, like, this is why I don't talk to you, killed. Right. Now it's like, I'm getting revenge. Like, I thought that would have been, when I thought that's where they were going, I'm like, oh, this is fucking awesome. And then it didn't happen. And I got a little sad.
It's so wildly inconsequential. And, like, why bring in a brother character if you're not going to make it personal? Like, it's just a strange act for me. But look, that's a gripe that I had. I just have a note here saying that you can't turn a magnet off. It's just not a thing. Like, magnets don't depower. It's just not a.
MRI machines don't they? Don't MRI machines? They're magnetized. You can turn them off.
Sure, but there's no way they have that kind of technology in the back of that truck. I mean, like, look, I'm not. All of my notes aren't this nitty gritty.
Keep going.
So, I think this is the one for me where the issue of soldiers firing at these guys and the bullets of missing them. This is the one for me that was just like, that's just so blatantly Stormtrooper-like. Like, there is a moment in this where Tyrese is running away from a bunch of soldiers, and it's so straight line.
I thought the same thing.
I'm just like, come on. Like, where is the... I know this is a franchise where... This is a movie where Dominic Toretto does some wild shit, but that's just so basic.
I was like, it's a car movie. Go in your car. Just fucking drive if you're going to write a scene like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a problem with the way they use the characters from... By the way, we are talking spoilers. I have an issue with the way they use the characters from Tokyo Drift. Sean Boswell and Twinkie, and the other guy in this movie.
Fucking Lil Bow Wow, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Twinkie. But, like, come on, dude, you got to know names. Oh, you haven't seen Tokyo Drift. Sorry. But yeah, Sean and Twinkie, they're not these characters. Well, Sean isn't, rather. So Sean is, in Tokyo Drift, set up to be this, middle America hick, right, who moves to Tokyo because he has to. And he's kind of like a fish out of water. He eventually becomes a Drift King, right?
And he's kind of like that in that scene in 7 as well, right? Like, he's right, more grounded there as well.
So that's my example of his character being used so much better and so much more effectively, because he's not funny in that. He's not trying to be funny in that. Like, he's a grounded, dramatic character, and that's who Sean Boswell has been in both of his appearances before this movie. But here, he's a clown. It doesn't gel with who his character's been set up with before. And it was such a head scratching moment for me. And why are they at a jet propulsion lab? Like, why, like, who took you out of Tokyo? Who is now the Drift King? I don't understand. This cameo made no sense whatsoever. You could have used someone else. I think Scott Eastwood's character would have made a lot more sense in this particular fucking spot. But hey, I don't know. I'm not a writer.
Can I talk about...
Speaking of writing, this script desperately needed Chris Morgan. This is the first Fast and Furious script, that was not written by Chris Morgan. Chris Morgan wrote Tokyo Drift, Fast and Furious, Fast 5, Fast 6, Fast 7, Fast 8, and Hobbs and Shaw. You could tell that this was not Chris Morgan. This was written by Daniel Casey and Justin Lin, and it didn't have, like, the dialogue didn't pop like it usually does with Chris Morgan's script. The action sequences, in my opinion, and people are saying that, yes, it is dialed up to 11. To me, it's not. To me, it felt a little tame. And I don't know why I felt that way, because there are trucks flipping over and there are, these cars being, like, flown through stores, and they did those practically, and I absolutely applauded for that, dude. Like, that is awesome. It looked great. But I don't know. A lot of it felt toned down. There is no tank on a freeway trying to be, that you need to intercept. There is no jumping between 3 buildings in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
It's strange that it feels so toned down when it's the biggest budget of them all.
Well,
I
I noticed that as well. I thought that
okay.
as well, and I have a feeling maybe they were banking on the space scene to be a lot bigger, but like it felt really minor and a bit hand forced in, honestly. But yeah, like when you mentioned like Abu Dhabi and all those big set pieces, like even from locations, like they are smaller. They're always in urban settings, with the exception of the forest, I guess. But they're never really doing, like, the only real big outlandish stunt is, I guess, the bridge scene, which has no basis in reality.
No.
But yeah, there's no trailer moment that is as big in spectacle. It's like everyone always talks about how they're one-upping. This one doesn't feel like it's one-upped.
That's like, right, and I'm reading reviews and I'm watching videos of like people talking about this movie, and they're all like, "Oh my god, it was so big and spectacle." But was it?
I would say,
am I spoiled? I sound like a spoiled child.
No, I would say like, and this is a spoiler alert. I'm going to say this later, but like this feels like Fast 6 to me in terms of the stunts,
where it sits,
and on the craziness, like it's almost like they're like, we're not going to go too crazy. We've got space that does it. Everything else, let's just take it. It's almost like they want to take it down a notch.
That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. It doesn't feel intentional, because if it was intentional, it would have been a more of a personal story for the Torettos. But it's not. It's not that personal. In terms of hierarchy and in terms of spectacle, I think 7 is right at the top, because that's got the vehicles coming out of the plane, the halo jump, and it's got the Abu Dhabi spectacle. But I think, this one was just like, I'm bored by the action. Like, none of this is really exciting to me. And what was exciting. Sorry. Can I just,
Sorry, I just thought of the perfect way to summarize that point. You know how in every movie so far, Tyrese has a moment and he goes, think of all the crazy shit we did. We outran a submarine. We jumped out of a building. If he was to reference to this, all he would say is like, we went to space, or he goes, oh, we fucked around with some magnets. Okay, cool.
Don't get me wrong, the magnet stuff was pretty amazing. I really loved the way that it looked, but here's another problem for me, dude. Everything big in this movie was spoiled by the trailers.
That's true. That's true.
The bridge cable jump that they do in the forest, that sequence was spoiled. The massive truck flip at the end, even the truck. So when Vin guides the truck and it hits Cypher's drone, that was spoiled in the trailers as well. So, I mean, it's not spoiled that it's a drone, but, you get what I mean. So, they kind of... I don't know why they decided to overmarket this movie. And I get it, because they had 2 release dates to work towards, right? The original and this one. But at the same time, it's just strange. Look, moving on to a different point, the story was absolutely predictable. I didn't need... man, it was so predictable seeing Jacob Toretto turning good and Cypher.
I'm pretty sure we called this before a trailer even came out. When they announced John Cena, everybody's like, oh, okay, so at the end, they're going to become family again and he'll join them. The only thing we didn't get is him obviously joining them, but he's a phone call away if they want him in a sequel.
I could not have rolled my eyes further back towards my head. And, like, it didn't even take him too much to join them either.
Oh,
like,
no.
You know, there was no, like...
A guy with a face tattoo tried to kill him, but, like, his morals or ethics or beliefs didn't change at all. He did not grow as a character. He only joined with Dom to save his own ass. Like, it's not like Dwayne Johnson switching sides when he was like, okay, I see you guys. I value in you now. Yeah, it was a really shitty reason to switch sides.
Yeah, absolutely. My next point is boring and uninteresting. I've already said that.
Sorry, go on.
I've got space ? Okay. And I think you already kind of like hit that, hit a note on that, because the reason I wrote it down is that they didn't utilize it to anything, any potential. It's just like they're in space, they approach a satellite, they might not be able to get back, but they do because they go to the ISS.
Yeah.
So I don't like it's just a headline grabbing thing. It only exists so articles can exist on the website saying, on the internet saying, Fast and Furious finally goes to space, and that's it. That's why it exists.
I 100% agree with that. I'll just say it now. One of my biggest issues with this film is that it's trying, and it's not always a problem, but it's trying way too hard to please fans. Like, the cameos could be played by anyone. They're just there for the sake of, or they have some forced nostalgia too. And one of the ways they did it was everyone joked around them going to space, so they did. But when someone like you and me says, oh, where are they going to go next? Space? We're expecting them to, like, outrun a rocket. We're expecting them to, like, dodge lasers on the moon while they're driving the moon. This, they just nudged a satellite, and that's it. It's like that. There's no spectacle in that. I've seen space. Star Wars exists.
Right.
Yeah.
Look, that was totally, like, mind-boggling to me. I'm like, oh, so we're done with this. Great. Okay, cool. Dom somewhat dies and has a kind of trippy moment where he looks upon his life and he's there in, like, a physical meta form, and it's hilarious. Like, he kind of, like, drowns and he's looking on his previous life moments as his own form, and it's hilarious. I really need to throw. Hold on. They really seem to be. Oh, what's this note say? Sorry, just give me 1 sec.
Okay.
I wrote this a while ago. They just now seem to be willing by.
Did you take notes while watching the movie?
No. I wrote them after, but they seem bored. Everyone in this movie seems bored to me. Like, there's no... there's a moment in this movie when, like, Vin Diesel's, like, fighting people, and, like, I swear to God he's about to fall asleep while he's fighting these people. And it's just strange. Here's another problem. It's too long. It does not need to be 2 hours and 25 minutes. It just doesn't. Like, it drags in the middle, dude. I'm like, wow, that was... My ass hurts, man. Like, in 2 hours and 25 minutes, Vin Diesel and John Cena, your protagonist and antagonist, throw down once. Literally once.
Yeah. And it feels like I don't know about you, but it feels like a lesser retread of his fight with Dwayne Johnson in Fast 5.
Less exciting as well.
Yeah, like they reuse, like, some moves, like picking up someone, going through a wall. I'm pretty sure that part where his head hits the top of the door and breaks through it, I'm pretty sure that's also in Fast 5. It was cool to see them fight. I just wish there was more creativity in the fight.
It was just so whatever. Look,
Who directed Fast 5? Who directed Fast 5?
Justin Lin.
Oh man, Justin!
You've done this better before. Return. So look, I've saved my final point. My biggest point as a final point. Han's return is somewhat inconsequential and lazy, and really not well thought out. I agree. I understand that he hooked up with Mr. Nobody because Giselle was in talks with Mr. Nobody. But how did Mr. Nobody pull this off? Like, yes, okay, I get it. Like, you saved him, but what are the logistics here? Like, this is not something that you can really kind of like hand wave away. Like, did you like when the race started, or like when whatever happened in Tokyo Drift that killed Han? Did you have someone take Han's seat before, like he took off in the car? Like, I don't know what is the logistics here, and then that blows out into this big thing that he finds this girl with the two halves or whatever. And I'm like, okay, look, that's fine. So Han returning serves a story point, but to what end? Like, like it just kind of like seems like Han's here because he found someone. That's it. Like, there is nothing else that really links it.
Well, I don't have a problem with the logistics part of it, because it's Fast and Furious. They showed me something. It's like, all right, I can suspend my disbelief a little bit. My problem is,
but my point is now I'm tired. I'm tired of suspending my disbelief like that. Like
right? Okay,
they did the same thing with Lenny.
That's fair.
Like, like you can't do that.
Twice. Yeah. Well,
twice.
Five times probably, honestly.
Right, exactly.
That's actually a good point.
Yeah,
they
similar to Letty.
You're right. They've reused a plot point. That is really bad. I didn't think of it that way, but you're right. That is, I'm not going to say unforgivable, but it is pretty shitty because from a narrative perspective, from a writing perspective, and this is what gets my goat, is that they brought him back and they did nothing with it. Like, Han has no heroic moment. No way where I guess he shoots some people as a shadow in Tokyo, but like that's not enough. Like, does he even drive a car? I think he does at the end,
he does.
For a second, right?
He
for
does,
a little bit, yeah.
yeah.
But like he doesn't really do anything. Like, I know he fights someone in, like the back seat or something, but he doesn't really do anything other than presents us with the MacGuffin, who I don't think they even say her name.
They do, but like here's the thing for me: you can't set up justice for Han and be
not
the
bring
end
justice.
credit scene. That can't be the end credit scene.
Yeah,
like it's strange.
You're 100% correct. Like the fact that the end credit scene is him showing up at the door of Jason Statham. It kind of feels like the writers are just like going, "All right, we set it up. You fucking deal with it," and then the next writer has to pick up his scraps. It's like, get fucked. The whole selling point of this movie was Han is back. That was the big exclamation point in the trailers, and they did nothing with it. There is no justice for Han. And you know what, to make it even more worse, I would say earlier, I think it's the few scenes before we find out he's back or whatever, Shaw's mum goes to Dom, "You're my favorite American," and it's like, he put your son in a coma.
Yeah.
He beat the shit out of your other son and literally made a fucking car park fall on top of him. Why the fuck is he your favorite American? Like, I get in Fast 8 there was some, I think, bullshit justification, but it's like you should hate each other.
Right.
I feel like they brought her in just because for a cameo. The same reason they brought in Han. They're just trying so hard to please the fans with cameos and look at this. Like, they're just jiggling keys in front of a baby.
Don't get me started when Cardi B is an Interpol agent, because...
too bad, because I'm going to get started. That is
hold on,
I want to talk about.
Stop. Yeah, you talk about it in your own segment. I'm just going to wrap this up.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm just going to like leave it off with this. I think Fast and Furious, the franchise has become a lot of things, but boring was not one of them. And this is the one that really kind of like, because my cardinal sin is boring, right? Don't be boring. Don't, for 2 hours and 25 minutes, don't make me regret sitting in that cinema for you. Like, if this was an hour and 40, it'll be a lot more forgivable. But there were points in this when I was yawning and I was like, man, like, I'm just like, well, it's just Vin Diesel lumbering from scene to scene, from character to character, just asking for favors and what have you. And it's just so boring. And a Fast and Furious movie has not been boring up until this point. And it's just, it's sad, really, because I really did like this franchise. And this is the one that really kind of made me... It's really going to make me question when the eventual 10th one comes around of whether I should go or not. And I'm not saying that the movie, there's no redeemable qualities at all. like I said, the practical effects were amazing. I actually didn't mind the flashback sequences, although I think there were too many. I think that's something that you should do. Literally, just make the prologue one big long flashback sequence, and that's it. Don't scatter it through like this, because I'm just, again, if I'm bored throughout the movie, I'm going to be bored throughout the flashbacks eventually. So when it kicks off in like 1988 and 1989, and it was shot in 35 millimeter and not digital, like, because it really kind of like gave you that that grainy Los Angeles to like the first film. It really gave you that visual. I was like really kind of taken back. And when we do get that drag race between Dominic and Jacob, that really felt like a scene out of the 2001 film. Like, I was like, okay, I'm on board with this. I like this. And those were the only things I liked about it. This movie is garbage, I think. I think this is not, this is a franchise that has bitten off way more than it can chew. This is the epitome of laziness now, like on the part of the director, on the part of the writers. I think they're just really kind of like coasting. So yeah.
So I'm glad you delivered that through bullet points, so I could address some of them as well, because now I get to be a lot shorter. But I do have some other points that I'd like to raise. Overall, like, I think this is a return to form for Fast and Furious. Like, this feels a lot like 6 to me. And I'm going to get into why in a second. But overall, I get really bored in Vin Diesel and Charlie's scenes in 8. Like, when I'm seeing him crying about his baby and she's talking about a tiger, I snooze. If it wasn't for the Hobbs and Shaw scenes, that movie would be trash. Which is ironic, because I think the worst Fast and Furious movie is Hobbs and Shaw. Like, I think it's borderline unwatchable, because they're so fucking smirking all the time. So I don't think this is one of the best ones, but it's definitely better than those two in my opinion. And why does it feel like a return to form? Well, this is what I want to get at. I can't believe I'm saying this.
Please help me, Matt. I need to understand this movie.
So I might get crucified for this. This is so out of character for me. But I think the best thing about this movie is that Dwayne Johnson is not in it. Hear me out. Since he's joined, so he was amazing in 5 as a villain. I would love to see him take more villain roles, honestly. And I think 6 is great. And 7, he's only got certain parts in it. But like, ever since he's joined the franchise, especially his scenes, he's always like winking at the camera. It's almost like this Deadpool-esque vibe. And it's always gone comedically, but it's a different type of comedy that you would expect from a character like Roman. It's almost like he's playing with the audience always. And it affects the rest of the franchise.
I'm curious because I think, outside, you are right. I really enjoy him in 5 as the antagonist, but outside of 5, I think his best moments come at the end of the 7th one. I actually don't mind Daddy's gotta go to work. And
it comes in with good.
Yeah.
But the reason it's good is it's not like he's only sandwiching the film. He's in the beginning and the end. Right. And the middle of it is Dom and Brian. And I think all those one-liners and cheesiness, but like he's in on the cheese, that's good in bursts. But then when you get to like Hobbs and Shaw, when that's carrying the entire film, it's unwatchable. Now, it's good in 8 when you're getting them spurred moments in between what I would consider the boring shit. But like when we get it in chunks, it's okay. But the fact that we got none of that in this movie, we get some awkward comedy, we get some forced comedy, but the fact that he's not hogging up so much screen time, all the other characters become characters again. Like, okay, I say the word character loosely because it's not like characters like Ludacris is getting a story arc, but at least they're getting screen time. Like I think was it 6? Yeah, I think 6 when there's a fight scene at a train station and it's like Han and I think it's Jezebel and they're fighting some people.
It's Gina Carano and Michelle Rodriguez.
No, okay, there's that one, but there's another fight scene where it's like I think it's 2 against 1. I think it's at the same time as that. Whatever. Regardless, the characters outside of Vin and Dwayne are getting screen time. They're getting their fight scenes. And I'm liking that. It's not just that they're getting to talk to each other, and it's feeling like, I wouldn't say a family because I don't want to be cheesy like that, but it's feeling more. It's if you ignore the fact that they ignore the laws of physics, it's feeling more grounded. It's feeling slightly more real, and it's feeling more like an action movie that I want the franchise to go in. So weirdly enough, I like not having John Cena there. Like not having Dwayne Johnson there. I just said John Cena, so let's get into John Cena. Look, I get what they're going for, and I've said this before, but I'll say it again. John Cena is such a wooden actor. Like he's doing the bare minimum, but it's not because he's not trying. It's just because that's the best he can do. He's a physical presence, and like he's doing the physical fights and the stunts, and he's smashing through walls. But every time he talks, it's like he's reading off a piece of paper, like a second grader giving a speech for show and tell.
But not only that, like the script doesn't give him anything to do, right?
Yes, like his character has no personal traits, has no memory. Like Han, what's it? Yeah, at least he's eating chips all the time, or eating peanuts or whatever. Give him something. All this guy does every time he has a conversation with Vin Diesel, it's always "you killed Dad" or "you used to be my enemy." It's like talk about anything else. Like I don't think he even talks about the MacGuffin that he's trying to get much. Like he maybe mentions it once or something. Like he's got no personality.
Do you want to explain what MacGuffin is for some people?
Oh, sorry. The object, the bullshit object they have to get. So
that they've done already in 3 of these movies before, by the way.
Yeah, like when they did it in this one, they were introducing Project Ares or whatever. I'm like, oh, it's God's Eye.
I'm just like, it's a fucking another one. Like, literally, it's God's Eye. Yeah.
Was God's Eye in 6 or no 7?
7.
Yeah, it's like this. So that's why I liked it before when you said about Han and Letty. It's like they're repeating the same plot point. Because when I saw that, I was like, fuck, they're repeating the same plot point. So while at times I don't want to call it lazy, and I'll get into why, like I also understand when you say it's lazy because I'm like, there are definitely some elements I'm like, come on, man, you've done this before. Fucking try. So yeah, like no, like I don't expect John Cena to do better, but yeah, I also want to say John Cena looks nothing like Vin Diesel. And it annoys me, the fact that they're trying to play off at their brothers and how their heights change from when they're young to old. It's so dramatically. I also don't like this. So with the flashbacks, what I appreciate about the flashbacks is you said you don't feel like this movie is personal. I think they tried to make it personal. It just wasn't personal enough for you. Like, I thought the flashbacks...
I think the scale of it really ruined the personal of it. You can't have both. You can't have Cena's character going after a world-ending device while also trying to be a personal film. You just can't. I don't think so.
That makes more sense to me.
That can't be his goal. Yeah.
I can agree with that, but I think I can appreciate, and maybe I'm just being too lenient here, but I can appreciate that they tried because I'm not used to seeing this attempt at an arc for Vin Diesel in these movies. Like it's like he's got a baby or some bullshit, but like with this, it's like he's going back into these ties of family and his dad, and I'm like, I like the fact that they're trying to give a shit. And it's like, oh, Justin Lin, it's the best you can do. Like, at least you tried. So, like, I appreciate it because it's something I haven't had before to this level. So I actually kind of liked it. It shook things up. If they were to do this plot narrative device again, I would be annoyed because it's like you've already done it. But what really annoyed me more so was the fucking horrible CGI trying to make these other actors look like them. It is so uncanny valley. Maybe it's just the screen I saw it on, but I get it when
was there actually CG? Because I thought they got different actors. I
thought they were different actors and they CGI'd some facial features, kind of like in Joss Whedon's Justice League, how they put a different mouth over him.
I didn't see that at all. Yeah, maybe I'm just I don't know, because I did watch Late Search, but I don't know. It
could have been the way I saw it, but I thought I saw it and I thought it was distracting, but we won't get into that. I don't have much more to say other than here's some other things that annoyed me, but they only kind of annoyed me slightly. I think this could have used one more action scene. I wasn't bored during the talking, But I think for a movie that is sold on spectacle, we need just a little bit more spectacle. So that would have been nice. I feel that it's really, really it's getting weird the way that they're addressing Paul's not being there. Like, bringing Mia in, I get it. Like, you're trying to, like, she's Dom's brother to doing all this stuff. But, like, Brian was, like, a secret agent or whatever as well, right? And so I guess his wife. But, like, if you were some secret agent dude, would you let your wife go off and find another secret agent in another country while you babysit?
They had the perfect out. They need to just stop addressing him altogether.
I agree.
This is, like, after that 7th one. By the way, my thinking of this is that the franchise should have ended after 7. I think it had a perfect closure. But I think, this situation with Brian, I like that they kept him alive in the universe, but don't keep referencing him. Don't threaten us with his return with that final shot with the skyline. It's just, it's way too much. Way too much.
Yeah, I feel like if Mia came in for a cameo, like she just talked to Dom and then left, which is what I thought was going to happen, I'd be like, narratively, whatever, I get it. It's a good way just to remind us Brian's still alive without forcing it. But like when you show like just the car and he doesn't get out or whatever, like I know it feels a little weird. It just, the reason for her being in Tokyo just felt weird too. Although I kind of like that fight scene in Tokyo.
That was a good fight scene, but I love I love that in one of the most busiest and popular cities in the world, they're able to find Han literally just like right behind the restaurant that they're eating behind. It's amazing. It's
there's
amazing.
a Mexican flag. Clearly he's here.
Yeah. Because no one else owns a Mexican flag in this entire city. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Well, every time they seem to cut to Tokyo, and I haven't seen Tokyo Drift, but from what I've seen, it's like, it seems to be a lot of non-Japanese people in Tokyo in these movies. Like, there's always, like, a bunch of African-American dudes who love hip-hop. There's always that redneck hit guy. There's always someone they're meeting. And
well, that was the story of the third one. I mean, the redneck guy moved to Tokyo.
Right, yeah. But like from my understanding, Japan outside of tourists, like it's not a very multicultural country.
Lots of Asians.
Yeah. But like it's not like Australia where we're known for. I don't know if we're known worldwide. Let us know in the comments. But like at least where we live, it's very multicultural. Like when I think of Japan, that's not what I think of. Look, the last thing I'll talk about, just for the lulz, I want to talk about that Cardi B cameo because just like John Cena on paper, and I think I said this when they announced it, I'm like, that is good casting. It makes sense. This person could fit in that world because John Cena, you think, oh, it's another wrestler who's really popular with fans and stuff. That makes sense. But Cardi B,
Iggy Azalea was at the start of 7. Do you remember her?
Yeah. Keep that in mind for what I'm about to say here. When I've heard of Cardi B, I'm like, okay, well, Fast and Furious movies are known for like these big parties with hip hop music and beautiful women and loud noises and stuff. So when I heard that, I thought it was going to be like the Iggy cameo, which would have made total sense. Like I can see Cardi B in that scenario. She would have made sense.
Sorry. I didn't mean
sorry? Oh, right. Yeah. Sorry. But the way they do it here is the worst position way to cameo. Like, so what happens is they're in this like embassy or whatever. Dom's about to get arrested.
Do you want to set it up?
Yeah. Okay, sure. Okay, if you want.
Well, basically, because the guy that Jacob is working with is a foreign national, the house that they're standing in technically becomes an embassy, which I guess holds up.
And is never referenced later in the movie. Like it's not a plot point. It's just something that happens there.
And they're arrested by international police, Interpol. There are so many questions about how this came to be, like this particular, like how Cardi B and her entourage ended up infiltrating the Interpol.
Yeah, because the reveal is he's in handcuffs, he goes into the back of the police truck, and the helmets come off, and it turns out, it's not international police that happen to be on call all the time for some reason. It's a bunch of supermodel women. They're all women that are clearly supermodels. Yeah. Sorry, they're all
Oh no, I'm just saying they're all tens, right?
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah.
like-
They're all tens, and here's the thing. And so it's like, okay, and the way like she talks and stuff, she's clearly not a military person. But the thing that just got me is, and ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens to a man when he's been living with a girl who really loves her makeup. Like she's all about Sephora is her life, right? I didn't see this with my girlfriend, but I could imagine the commentary because what happens is she takes off this helmet, and all of a sudden, hair's perfectly straight. All the girls have different hairstyles and their hair's all perfect. Their makeup is 100%. I'm pretty sure Cardi has like these long fingernails with like acrylics or whatever. And I'm like, my girlfriend gets mad when she wears a surgical mask for COVID because it has a chance of possibly causing a slight wrinkle in her foundation. These girls are sweating, they're running around with guns and military shit, and they're taking it off, and they're ready to go on a fucking catwalk. This makes no sense. And they don't justify, like, why they all look like they're ready to go on America's Next Top Model. Like, it does not make any sense. Like, if you're going to have these characters, put them in a situation that is appropriate for them. You know, like, I'm not saying she can't be a military person, but dress her like a military person. You know, no one is going to go to war and go, it's like, okay, you ready to shoot the enemy? Hang on, I need 35 minutes to apply this foundation and then get my lip gloss perfect. Like, no one's going to talk like that. And it just really frustrated me because they played it for comedy and like, haha, I get it. You had Kevin Hart in the last one. But it's just like those little, like, they were trying, it's a scene where they're trying way too hard. Like, couldn't they just make Cardi B fight Letty? That would have been so much better.
Sorry, finish off your point. I have some.
That was basically it. Yeah, it's like
Okay.
I hated the way I thought Cardi B would have been a perfect cameo for this movie, but they used her so wrong. And it's the same thing with John Cena. I think he's perfect for this movie, but don't make him Dom's brother. Like they've got this good casting, but they're just not using these characters right.
I'm about to blow your mind.
Here we go.
And it depends on how interested you are in the subject. So,
Okay.
you know, take that with what you will. So this is from the Thrill List. So as Cardi briefly explains to Dom, presumably over the likely cheers and chuckles of audience members, she's actually working for Helen Mirren's Queenie, who was pulling one over on Jacob, even as she claimed she was pulling one over on Dom. Dom actually got Lisa. Lisa was the name of Cardi's character.
Right.
Dom actually got Lisa the job with Helen. They're old friends from the Dominican Republic, and Lisa mentions she is Kara's little sister. But wait, who is Kara? This is where you have to listen. This is where you have to dig deep into your memory bank and recall both Fast and Furious and the 2009 prequel to that movie, directed by Vin Diesel, called Los Bandoleros. Yes. Perhaps the most forgotten entry in the franchise, Diesel made a 20-minute short that basically explains what Dom has been up to hanging in the Dominican Republic. Filmed in a verite style, Los Bandoleros is probably the most political entry in the franchise, centering around economic injustice in the country. It establishes that Dom and Han are pals, reunites Dom and Letty, and introduces Tego Leo, aka Leo, and Kara, whose character is just called Mirtha in the credits. While Los Bandoleros technically ends with Dom and Letty making out on a beach, it leads right into the opening on Fast and Furious. That's the 2009 one. Wherein Dom, Letty, Han, and Kara and Leo attempt to steal an oil tanker. So I should shut the fuck up because clearly this is their plan ever since 2009. This is an MCU. Yeah, dude, like, come on, man. Vin Diesel should just change his name now to Kevin Feige because we know what this is.
Well, they're both bold. They're essentially the same person. Let's be real.
It's insane. I hate this movie. Fuck.
Yeah, that was actually incredible. Thank you for bringing that up. But yeah, look, overall, like, it's real. The reason we love Fast and Furious is usually you can eat some popcorn and they're fun to laugh at sometimes. I like the fact that they're not laughing with us like they were with Hobbs and Shaw. And I do think it's a step in the right direction for the franchise, but it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I had a good time. I'm sorry to hear you didn't. I'm still in for the next ones. I just, I think this is a bit of a return to form and I'm interested to see what they do in the future. but they made some weird fucking decisions with this movie, man. I hope they learn from this. But you know, if history's told us anything, they do not learn. They do not.
I'll tell you what we both agree on, though.
What?
It is the best comedy of the year.
Actually, and that's any good comedies so far this year. No, I can't think of any.
I don't know.
I can't think of a single comedy. Actually,
I'm not doing this right now.
Anyways,
anything
that's it for today.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to say before we head out of here?
I love you guys all. You're all amazing. Let us know what you thought of Fast and Furious in the after party.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Midnight Double Feature. As mentioned, you can check out our socials, check out our Patreon, become a supporter of the show. Head to patreon.com/Midnight Double Feature. If not, that's all good. Pick up some merch. We've got TVs. We've got t-shirts. We've got t-shirts and mugs. Head to midnightdoublefeature.com. We've got a feature presentation upcoming, on its way, on Drive, Nicholas Winding Refn's film starring Ryan Gosling. That's already in the can. It's recorded. So that's we were lucky enough to do that with Matthew Anderson from LSG Media. So thanks so much to Matt for jumping in for that episode, and we can't wait to release that one to you guys. That's an awesome episode. But guys, again, thank you so much for joining us here in Midnight Double Feature. Matt, say bye to the lovely people.
We love you all. Thanks for hanging out with us. I'm Matt. That's Zoheb. Laters.